Welcome to Service Headline News. I'm your host, Marty Smith, and I'm joined by Jake Wall.
What's going on, Marty?
Hey, Jake, how are you?
Doing good tonight.
And we're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all servicemen and women. So sit back, get informed, and have a laugh as the Swearing In Podcast presents Service Headline News. Jake, Eric's not here. Do you have any idea where Eric's at?
Yeah, word on the street, he's on assignment out testing the tactical bra.
Oh, he
Field
was talking
testing.
about doing that. That's right.
We're in-depth reporters here, and he is in-depth in the field right now.
I look forward to that report because it might not only be the tactical bra, because he also talked about a tactical bikini, and he is on the beach. So
yeah,
you know what? It'll be in depth, and we'll get his feelings and his size preference when he gets back here next week.
the only thing I'm concerned about is the close-up of possible chafing lines. That's the only thing I'm concerned with.
Well, he's a pretty resourceful guy, and let's assume he shaved beforehand. But he might be just doing a in the wild kind of test.
Oh yeah.
So who knows? Might be hard to see the tactical bra from the sweater he might be wearing. So we'll see.
His fur sweater. Yeah.
Eric, we look forward to you getting back. What do you got for a day in history, Jake?
Oh, first of all, I'd like to get a shout out to my nephews, Grayson and Xander. I know they're not always allowed to listen to the podcast because we've got filthy mouths, but the 2 minutes that they listen to, I've heard they enjoy.
Well, Cadet Grayson and Cadet Xander, welcome to the show, and we look forward to seeing you in the military sometime soon.
Yep. All right.
Or
this
making
day
fun of the military, just like us.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully. This day in history. So today in history, February 21st, Rutherford B. Hayes was president back in the day, big, like in the 1800s.
What
right?
year?
One of the most underrated or mediocre ones that we could think of.
Very solidly in the middle of the pack.
Solidly middle of the pack. One of the ones you got to have the slide ruler to figure out, oh yeah, he was a president.
Do you think presidents think like that when they get in? I'm sure they all have visions to be like the best president, but there's got to be a flip side where they're just like, I just don't want to be the worst president.
Yeah.
If I'm
I think that's what you gotta always hope for, right?
Probably.
I just don't want to be the worst.
That and not getting sick and dying, or getting shot and dying, I suppose, right?
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah. So February 21st, 1881, President Hayes, whose wife nicknamed Lemonade Lucy because she did not serve any alcohol in the White House. She was a big fan of the old temperance movement, decided to push her own agenda on the people she had control over, and declared that alcoholic beverages were not going to be sold on any military posts.
Damn her. Wow.
I know. Yeah. It's a horrible thing. Probably destroyed culture and morale for decades.
Damn. And that was 18. What'd you say?
1881.
So this is after the Civil War.
Yep.
Country's exhausted. Troops who stayed, right? They're like, okay, I might as well ride this out. What? No alcohol?
Yep. No booze for you. So, but that got me thinking, and I'm good or bad, alcohol is part of the military culture. It tends to be.
Yeah, it tends to be.
So, Marty, you have any good, or for the purposes of public release, reasonable drinking stories?
No, not well. I like everyone has a ton probably, but in Louisiana, when I got there in '90, I lived with around a bunch of guys, a bunch of single apartments in DeRidder. And DeRidder was uh, a dry parish. So the biggest line, the parish line, the county line, had the biggest bar right there. So as we're driving on the one highway home, you would stop there. It had a drive-through too. Louisiana was famous for all their drive-through liquor stuff. So
well, New Orleans has open carry, and then you can actually like buy. They have those daiquiri shops where
right.
As long as it's got the little piece of tape or whatever
on the straw.
Piece on the straw,
That's right.
The driver can have it in the freaking.
I forgot all about that because they had like a frozen spirits place.
Yeah,
you could pull up, and they have like the 50 spinning mixing machines in the back, and you're like, what's that purple one there? Yeah. And you could get that big gulp of daiquiri or whatever it was with the little piece of paper on the straw and drive home.
That saved you from a DUI right there. That
what
paper.
A great state. How about you? Coming back to you. What's your
man? There were so many, right?
Put it this way, not drinking. How about a story where you wanted to drink, but you couldn't drink? I mean, we all coped with being over in Qatar with the 3 beer minimum or the 3 drink minimum.
Yeah. I set a goal when I was in Qatar the second time, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use my drinks every day. And I'm like, man, after a month, I was like, okay, I'm done. I couldn't keep up. But my thing was I would go get a juice box, like the kiwi juice or the pineapple juice from the chow hall.
Yeah.
And then I would go in there, and you could get 2 shots at a time, right? And they did the X, and then they did the final circle for your third drink. So I would get 3 shots of Admiral Nelson, which is lower than Captain Morgan.
Oh my God. Admiral is lower than
Admiral Nelson. Yep. And then I would pour my juice box in there and drink my beverage and enjoy my free bugles that you could get at the end of the bar.
I forgot the bugles.
Yeah, the cheesy bugles, man. They would get there. And then I found myself getting frustrated when they didn't have cheesy bugles. I was like, oh, this place ruined my morale with no cheesy bugles. But yeah.
I do lament the loss of the club system because there was no better place to drink than the club place. I mean, because it was so cheap.
The on-base clubs were fantastic.
Or even the bowling alley. Even if you went to the bowling alley.
Overseas, like in Alaska or Korea or anything, those on-base clubs had such a community.
Yeah,
and they were hopping, man. And it was great.
And it was back when you could walk back to your barracks.
So absolutely.
No worry about it.
You were walking back to the dorms. Nobody was worried about driving. Nobody's doing anything. And actually, I take that back. So Vandenberg, for a while there, they got a rash of DUIs. And if you've ever been to Vandenberg, it's very isolated, right?
Right. That's true.
And so the closest town, right, is a minimum of 15 minutes, Lompoc, or Santa Maria, which is like 25.
Yeah.
So to fix this, the then base commander decided, well, we're not going to sell any alcohol at the club. And I'm sitting there going, does that make any sense? Like, you have people drinking off base and driving onto base.
Right.
Because it's not readily available, because the club's kind of lame and all that. And what you're going to do is just stop all alcohol sales at the club. Yeah, well, makes sense.
They did it in 1881. I guess it was good enough for them.
It did not work for Lemonade Lucy, and it didn't work for that base commander who shall be unnamed.
On a side note, if you were at a club, if you were at a strip club, and they said next up on the stage, Lemonade Lucy, you'd be like, oh my God, how intriguing is that name?
That's a whole different aspect of it.
And you sat down on the stage and she took all your beers away, and you're like, what the hell?
Come on. He just goes by and spills them all. Dink, 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 dink.
As she's staring at you, she's
You didn't even
do
it with your thigh. Come on. You just flipped it over with your finger.
Don't go sit at Lemonade Lucy's table.
Yeah.
She's still on the bill of goods that she doesn't deliver on.
Stingy in all ways.
But damn, she's good looking.
Oh.
That's a good one, Jake.
Yellow and white polka dot bikini. Lemonade Lucy.
So sunshiny.
All right. Yeah. I figured Eric does all these like legitimate great days in military history, and I had to pull something out.
I think it's great. Great. It is military. It's not Battle of Verdun, that's for sure.
Man, that's a rough one.
But that's a rough one. But it is
not U.S. military.
Not U.S. military. That's correct. It seems like we're going to be real Navy heavy tonight, unfortunately.
All right.
But not great things for the Navy. Well, this one actually is a great thing for the Navy. So on February 17th from military.com, the Navy is now lifting the COVID-19 vaccine requirement for deployments.
All right.
So that's a good thing. Navy has lifted its policy of banning unvaccinated sailors from deploying as part of the wider rollback of the military's COVID-19 vaccination mandate. COVID-19 vaccination status shall not be a consideration in assessing individual service member suitability for deployment or other operational missions, said the Navy's administrative message that they released last week. The change comes just over a month after the Pentagon formally dropped the requirement for all service members to be vaccinated, save for a handful of medical and religious exemptions. That change was directed by Congress in last year's annual defense bill that was signed into law in the last days of December 2022. For much of it,
so Congress signed it in.
Yeah, they slipped it in there. So whatever that massive bill was, that was part of it, which is interesting.
Going the way of the anthrax shot.
Well, I wait till the end of this article. I found a day in history that's going to be crazy. For much of its existence, the vaccine mandate has been a political football. Several lawsuits have been filed by sailors opposing the mandate and challenging the Navy's approach to reviewing the religious exemption requests. The Supreme Court ruled in March 2022 that the Sea Service, why did I just say Navy? That the Navy was allowed to reassign sailors who had refused the shot and filed exemption requests to non-operational commands. Last summer, the Pentagon approved the Novavax vaccine, which is a version of the shot that did not use fetal tissue in its development or production, which was a major
factor. So the
factor.
Religious waiver is out.
Correct.
Then.
Right.
Oh, so I got around that, huh?
The lawyers for the biggest lawsuit against the service said that after the Navy's policy change on deployment, they were, quote, still assessing the impact of this policy on our Navy SEAL clients and more than 4,000 class members in a statement released last week. The suit was initially filed by a group of Navy SEALs, but later expanded to include all vaccine refusing sailors. I remember that time when they were reporting that they were kicking Navy SEALs out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me?
Can you imagine how much money that is?
Yeah. Wasted money.
Wasted money. Like, oh my goodness.
And you talk about the biggest blow to just like overall morale. It's like these guys are top of the top and you're going to kick these guys out? What hope does this mechanic third class have,
Yeah.
The legal team from First Liberty Institute added that it was an encouraging step towards ensuring the Navy does not continue to discriminate against sailors who sought religious exemptions from the COVID vaccine requirement. They still bring up the religious exemptions. I think they're moving more into non-religious exemptions. And just
they're trying to get around that.
Yeah.
And just do the medical exemption only.
Yeah, I especially with all that data that's coming out now, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
geez, kind of scared.
So just to clarify this, it's estimated to cost $350,000 in training and equipment and time from start to finish of a single Navy SEAL.
300 grand?
350 grand. And that's the low end. 350 to 500
Jesus.
to train
Well,
a single.
yeah, sure.
I mean, think about just the equipment they get
Yeah. Yeah.
alone. I mean, just think about the rifle cost.
Right.
That's $6,000 a rifle just in and of itself,
And
off the market.
every boat that takes them out, every plane that
Yeah.
takes them up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Every jump, every boat,
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to have rescue divers waiting. You've got to have all that stuff. You have to have medics on call 24/7, if not there waiting.
And for them to take
And
anyway.
to say, hey, take this shot or get out.
Yeah.
That's an incredible waste of funds.
Especially when you go and when there's evidence that's like, hey, you made these guys take anthrax, for example.
Yeah.
There was a whole lot of problems with anthrax.
I've had 9 anthrax shots.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. There's 2 number 8s on my records. I was like, why is there 2 number 8s?
So for those of you
like,
listening,
yeah, we lost count. Yeah, it's written down, man. You can't lose count.
For those of you listening, you should have talked to Jake before shot number 6. He was much more lucid, much funnier.
Man, yeah.
Now he's a shell of himself.
Shell of a man.
But if an anthrax attack comes, we're pushing Jake out there because there's no way he's getting it.
No, there is not a way at all. I could make out with that cow carrying anthrax. Because that's what it comes like. Farmers used to get anthrax shots,
right?
Because it used to be in, supposedly, I don't know for sure,
cattle,
but it used to be cattle and all that. It was among that area.
Crazy.
So
the new policy makes no mention of reinstating sailors who were separated from the Navy for refusing the shot, or when sailors who were assigned to shore duty amid the mandate will be reassigned back to an operational command. As of late November 2022, the service had separated 1,639 sailors from active duty, 402 reservists, and 32 sailors who were in the first 180 days of their naval service. That sucks. You just get in, and you're like, I don't want that shot. They're like, get out.
Get out.
6 months.
Marty, do you remember that shot line though?
Sure.
Like that shot line, I thought it was something, for me, it was something out of a movie.
It's crazy.
Where you're literally rolled up your sleeves and you were everybody was lined up, heel to toe. And they were like, okay, next, step forward, next X. And you would just lean in and they were like, don't flinch, because it was those air.
That was
it wasn't
going to
a
ask
needle.
if you had the air shots. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a needle. Some of them were needles. Some of them were air.
If you jerked,
those
that
guys,
air would rip you open.
Oh man, they had they had a vertical line cut.
Yeah. It was terrible. Yeah. I do remember that.
It would shoot that, but I have no idea what I got.
No. And that's leading me into this thing. But on a side note, I remember interviewing somebody from the 70s who said they had them all get in a circle, face each other, drop their pants, and the doc came and shot them all in the ass with whatever they were shooting them up with.
He was just going around the circle.
Yeah.
Like blah, 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 blah.
God dang.
We did get that thick one in the upper cheek though.
That one sucked. It felt like
I don't know
syrup.
what that was.
I don't know. It was terrible. It hurt a lot.
Yeah. Those anthrax though, they started off okay, and then the more you got, the more your arm turned red. Like it would just spread down your arm. Yeah.
I dodged it because we were supposed to go. we were supposed to go to Desert Storm, and we were getting ready, trying to get the Roundup Brigade ready, and then all of a sudden the war was over. So I was like, oh, shit. Well, I guess we didn't have to get the anthrax shot.
Yeah.
That was the only good thing about it.
It was progressively, it wasn't bad initially, like, oh, it just burned a little bit. And then the more you got, the more it would burn, and my arm would just turn red, and it would get farther down my arm every single time.
What was
and
the
my
philosophy?
My roommate at the time had a permanent knot from where he got one of them. And they were like, okay, we won't do it in that arm.
Yeah, good way to solve the problem.
You know how that is. Oh, fixed it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay. Yeah.
It does say the military mandates more than a dozen other vaccines, including the annual flu vaccine for both recruits and service members. This brings me to another interesting day in military history. Now, this is on the 22nd of February. I don't know why it's on the 22nd of February, but 1991, U.S. soldiers were issued the drug pyrrolidostigmine bromide. So that's the closest I'll put a link in it, but pyrrolidostigmine bromide, PB, to counter the effects of the nerve agents Tabun and Soman. Now listen to this. The drug was prescribed at 3 pills per day, but produced a physical rush and was abused by many service people. Nice. It was later suspected as a cause of the symptoms of Gulf War syndrome. The drug was not fully approved by the FDA, and military personnel were not informed of its effects. In 1999, 8 years later, a 2-year RAND analysis concluded that the drug pyrrolidostigmine bromide could not be excluded as a contributor to Gulf War syndrome. The drug was given to as many as 300,000 U.S. troops during the Persian Gulf War.
And they just basically were like, we think this will work.
Yeah, this is a good idea.
Experimented. And you wonder why military people are cynical.
No kidding, man.
Really?
I mean, you take stuff like that. You take anthrax. You take what was they did Tuskegee experiment, right? Wasn't it military or was that not military? Where they took the STD guys, but that's just you want to trust that?
No, there's no way. That's the thing.
I know.
That's what we were talking about before.
It's nuts.
Like we've all seen enough jackassery in our government that we're like, maybe not.
Well, Joe Guanyo, who just passed a few months ago, when he was over in Vietnam, and they sprayed him. They said that we felt it on our skin, with the Agent Orange, right? And the VA denied that all the way up until 5-7 years ago. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess we'll recognize that claim now.
Yeah, but 5-7 years ago, all those guys are already dying of cancer.
50 years they're fighting that, right?
If not previously dead.
Yikes, I know. It doesn't sound like we're going to recommend the military to our kids here, but that's how I thought it was interesting. I thought when they brought that up, because I always thought anthrax for Gulf War, but this PB drug.
To be fair, I would recommend the military to my kids, but very specific.
Yeah,
method and function.
Get this job.
Only. This job, ROTC scholarship to a regular college.
Yeah.
Don't go academy.
I agree.
Get out after 4.
Yeah. Get your benefits. Yeah.
Because get your bennies, get your little bit of 401k now, get your debt-free college, get your clearance, and then punch. Like use it for what it's worth and then call it a day.
And get out before you're deployed to Ukraine for the next 20 years.
We're not doing offensive, though, right? We're not putting offensive equipment out there.
No, it's, we're not using the offensive equipment.
Oh, but we gave them the offensive.
Yeah, we gave it to them. It's like, hey, you guys do what you want with this.
Yeah,
do what you want with these tanks. We're just offering.
We're just going to leave these here, along with some instructional PowerPoints.
Don't press this button because this starts it. Don't
Some
push this thing in the
CVTs.
barrel because that loads it. Whatever you do.
Whatever you do. Don't do that.
You know, if you guys want to drive around in them, go ahead.
Yeah, have at it.
What's going on with the military fit test, man?
Oh, man, you know.
Let me tell you. And this is all just in the last couple months, right?
Yeah.
So on the 20th of January, military.com reported that Space Force Guardians will not be required. Guardians. They will not be required to take a fitness assessment in 2023 if they took one in 2022.
No. Well, that's convenient.
Yeah, it's so they're doing that until the service works out the kinks in its own health and wellness program after using the Air Forces for the past few years. Last year, the service, which is under the Department of the Air Force, issued a sort of placeholder diagnostic physical fitness test that was not graded and had no punishments for poor performance. Now, until Guardians receive formal guidance on their own service-specific plan expected this year, they will not be required to do another test. So, say you tested in January 2022.
Yep.
It's completely feasible that you may never have to test again. Because last year, Space Force leaders promised to implement a revolutionary fitness program called the Holistic Health Assessment, which would use fitness wearables similar to Apple Watches or Fitbits to help track exercise, diet, and sleep instead of using a physical test like the other services have embraced for decades. The Space Force wants to approach traditional physical fitness and health in a different way, officials have said, mainly because its mission is very different from that of Marines, sailors, soldiers, and airmen. Now, I do agree with that. There's no reason to say, hey, carry these two 5-pound cans of fuel over there. I get it. There's no point in that, right?
Yep.
So I'm all for that. But just to kind of crazily abandon this thing, it's like,
that's the thing, right? We're not saying Space Force should be able to do the Marine Corps freaking
right
23 maximum pull-ups and freaking 11 for a female. We're not saying that.
No,
we're saying just uphold a professional standard.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. And half of that is not looking excessively dumpy in a uniform.
I was just gonna say that. It's just like, let's just do the magic eye test. Stand in front of me.
Yeah.
Turn to the side.
The reason those Marine Corps uniforms look so damn good, and they do look good, right?
Absolutely.
The service, they look great. Partly because they're like all freaking super structured and tight fitted, but also partly because the people in them are physically fit.
Right.
They are specimens of physical activity.
Right. I agree.
If you put me in my blues right now, it would not portray that image. No. Right? The
most comfortable uniform I ever wore was that flight suit that we were able to wear for 7-8 years, whatever it was, 10 years.
That was full jammies. The only restrictive part was that zipper. If you had to kneel,
well, you had that
unplug your mouse. Oh, my mouse isn't working. I gotta unplug it.
Little side Velcro straps, right?
Yeah.
That were just teasing like they would tighten it up. However, even if you were really fit, you have to be really fit. That flight suit's going to show you as a paunch, right? If you're just normal, you look like you got a paunch in that thing. It's like, I can't help it. It's pajamas, right?
Yeah. Unless you And then we all joked about it. They were like, "Oh, that one's at max velocity."
Max velocity.
Remember?
Yes.
Because they were like at the very end of that Velcro strip.
Right, you pulled them all the way back.
The hook and the loop. There was like 4 hooks and 3 loops holding on for dear life.
Now you just look like one big solid green blob coming down.
Oh God.
And there were so many people on profile with bellies and everything else. I was the most comfortable. It was probably the most unsightly uniform you'd ever seen. So,
yeah.
Okay, now listen to this one, which is our second fit test story. This is from military.com on the 15th. Changes are coming to the Army combat fitness test as the service looks to comply with the law. Back, remember we were talking about that House bill that passed. So part of that, another thing that was in there was that the service looks to comply with the law mandating it create a gender neutral assessment by June of this year. It's a continuation of the struggle over the test that was finally rolled out in October. So we did this. Yeah, it was back in October when we did that story, right?
Yeah. So I'm not going to be sexist, but there's either going to be a ton of fatty guys passing or a ton of females failing.
Depending on where they set that standard.
But on where they set that bar.
Right. The trouble is being driven by 2 competing congressional requirements built into last year's annual defense policy. Now, this is where you go, politicians, this is exactly what you were talking about, where they're not on the ground. They don't understand the execution of what they're trying to mandate. So, built into last year's annual defense policy bill to, quote, establish gender-neutral fitness standards for combat jobs that are higher than those for non-combat jobs. Okay, I can get behind that. Yeah. I can get behind that. While also creating gender-neutral standards for all soldiers.
Oh, here we go.
The Army combat fitness test was originally intended to be gender-neutral, but the Army reversed course after early test data first reported by military.com in 2021, showing that nearly half of all female soldiers were failing the test.
No.
So, but this was prior to the official rollout in October 2022. So, but because of that helped ratchet up debate during the last Congress over whether the new test was right for the service. So there again, the Congress is going to take one piece of data and they're going to go, well, maybe this test isn't right. And I was like, well, maybe the standards are too high. I mean, there's a myriad other things to look at, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the standards are too high. Maybe they're too low. Maybe they gotta work out a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know. So what they did, Democrats called for a postponement of the test due to unrealistic standards for medical personnel, judge advocates, or cyber warriors. So basically non-combat. Citing high failure rates for women. Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers leveled heated criticism at gender-based testing benchmarks. So that back and forth between the two parties led to the inclusion in last year's defense policy bill of the provision requiring a new gender-neutral physical readiness standards by June. So it sounds like they resolved nothing, but they're like, hey, let's just have one test for all of them. And they're like, okay, good. Get this thing out of here. Friday afternoon, let's go. We're done. So
sounds good.
Yeah, with no real thought behind it. So now I feel bad because it talked about the sergeant major of the Army has got to figure this out now before June.
Yeah,
he's got 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, God bless this guy. Like, what are you talking about?
OCPs, that's the
OCPs. Sorry, that's the new one,
OCPs.
Right? That's the new one.
Yeah. They look comfortable for the guys at least.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The one thing I hate about it, especially in today's environment, is you don't look at the shoulder or the lapel for rank anymore. Where do you got to look?
Yeah, exactly.
Center of the chest, right? So every female, I'm looking dead on center of the Me Too movement. just to see what rank they are.
I don't. And it's so, that's the one thing the Space Force did right, is change the color of those ranks on the OCP.
Oh, that was so dumb.
Because
right.
the Air Force had that like sand brown color.
Yeah.
And
which is hard to see anyway.
In. Yeah. And it blended right in with the uniform perfectly.
So you really had to look hard.
Yep. And
in
then
between her breasts.
Let's see. Well, half the time we have restricted area badges hanging there too.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got your badge hanging over your rank, and then you've got the name, which is sand brown. And I'm like, I got nothing. I'm sorry if I missed this.
That's why we're retired, man. There's no way we'd survive.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the
officially cranky old man.
I mean, imagine World War II guys with us.
Oh,
yeah. We hate
so many
guys.
issues.
Slackers.
Right? And our music is horrible.
That's right. I love that. I love that out of you. Here's the third fit story. This is from stripes.com on the 17th. Navy removes failed fitness tests from records in bid to keep sailor numbers high.
Really?
If you failed a fit test, wipe clean, baby. It's service members who failed a physical fitness assessment on or before February 15th will have their records reset to 0, the Navy said last week. Those sailors also will be eligible for other career opportunities, such as change of duty station, according to the announcement. So like schools, PCS, whatever it is. The reset gives sailors whose ability to prepare for and take physical fitness assessments was limited because of COVID-19 restrictions. Bullshit. An opportunity to meet fitness standards and stay in the service, the statement said. The policy isn't permission for not meeting physical fitness standards, which, among other criteria, measure performance in activities such as running or swimming and push-ups. It remains incumbent. This is I love when they tack this on the end.
Yeah.
It remains incumbent upon individual sailors to invest in their personal health and wellness in order to maintain war-fighting readiness, the Navy statement said. Now, that's Navy's in its own respect has some unique situations, right? I don't know what the percentage of the Navy is that are on ships, but I imagine it's more than half, right? Probably, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know, honestly. I got no
it's
clue.
Kind of the
I would
same,
hope so.
It's kind of the same as the Space Force, right?
Yeah.
So we're not asking the Space Force to go out and dig a fighting position, nor are we asking a Navy guy to go out and dig a fighting position.
Yeah, but if you're on a ship, there's certain requirements. You have to be ready to fight fires at any time.
Like the ship-based fit test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be.
Well, I interviewed
you got to full speed and duck through the portholes.
Right. I mean, if you take it, I talked to that one Navy diver, and he said the culmination thing is, you got to be a firefighter on the ship, right? And I was like, that's crazy smart practical. And
and everybody has to, right? Don't they?
Yeah, I think they all have to learn how to do that. Carry the hose, how to open the doors and stuff. I was like, perfect, because that's what's going to keep you alive. Not running 2 miles necessarily, because you ain't going to run 2 miles on a ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Go get help. Let me go.
More like sprints. What were those sprints
Spartlets?
On the basketball course? No, on the
suicides.
basketball. Suicides. Yeah, more like suicides. Have them do suicide. Yeah, fartleks were horrible though.
Oh, I know. Make you throw up all the time.
Yeah. And then you always got that one guy up front that would just step it out.
I know.
I hate that guy.
And he loved leading the pack.
Oh, he's like, I'm going to get him. About time. I'm going to run.
So, okay. 3 different services, fit tests just seem to be going by the wayside. So,
yeah,
it seems like it's been good for, 200 plus years, but maybe some people have some way to rethink it. I guess time will tell. All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about something serious. Okay. Something near and dear to all of us. I couldn't even pull that off. I was gonna try to make it. I couldn't even pull it off.
It's good.
Something that's near and dear to all of us who put on the uniform. Let's talk about Armed Forces Network and their commercials and PSAs.
I do love some AFN.
Can you imagine? First off, can you imagine? I mean, nowadays, I don't. AFN's so innocuous now with all the internet and everything else streaming. You can stream what you want, right?
Yeah.
But back in the day, when that's the only TV you could get,
that was it. Yeah.
And spending 3 or 4 years. Imagine if you were in Germany at, say, 12 years old. So you're going to be there for 3 more years, maybe 4. And this is the entertainment you're getting. And this is the PSAs and commercials that you're getting. Now, admittedly, as dumb as most of them are, they do stick with you because they are so dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know if they're just mastermind smart about doing it that way, or if they just lucked into it as like, I remember that Shake the Baby one was so horrible, but I remember not to shake the baby.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it bad that we have to be told not to shake babies? Right. That's the ultimate question. Like, I think how many incidences did they get in there? Like, damn it, he shook the baby. I told him we need a commercial about this. I told you, Gene, we needed a commercial.
Well, and who's setting that? Who's setting that programming? Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is it like civilian wives doing it? Is it the media guys doing it?
Call.
That could completely change everything.
Yeah.
But this is interesting on a side note, or not on a side note, but this is stuff I didn't know about AFN. As a DoD function, AFN can't run traditional ads or mention commercial products or profit-making activities in its productions.
Because it'd be government affiliated, government sponsoring it. Okay.
So instead, it lets commanders put out messages about force protection, weather, current events, and base services. Whether witty, off-kilter, or deadly serious, the promos are often the butt of jokes. Several years ago, a pair of folk-singing Air Force pilots known as Dos Gringos, which we'll get to, paid homage to the daily dose of life skills that you just cannot avoid, lampooning AFN warnings about shaken babies, OPSEC, roommate courtesy, and the dangers of general power of attorney.
That one.
What? Yeah, the power of attorney one. That's
the power of attorney.
Well, let's and I'll put these links in the description.
So for normal audiences, it's just imagine the Crazy Eddie local car commercial.
Good one. Yeah.
But with a military government propaganda twist.
And
right. Like,
yeah, right.
Make sure to wear your reflective belt. No matter where you're at. A guy like kicking open a stall and saying, "Oh, you need your reflective belt on." Like that kind of thing.
I tried to find it, but I remember there was an energy rapper who was talking about turn it off, turn it down. That's the Army way, about saving electricity and stuff like that. Can't find that one. But let's see. Okay, here's your power of attorney one. Those who are listening, like I said, I'll put these links so you can go watch them, but you can hear them.
And the power of attorney is important because there's been many, many, many instances of military members coming home and having their livelihoods sold out from underneath them.
None of these
a random
messages are
stripper
bad
girlfriend.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Some stripper girlfriend they met 4 days before they deployed, who gave them the blowy of a lifetime, and they're like, "I'm going to do a general power of attorney."
So, okay, here's a power of attorney.
Hercules, please, please let me sell your golden fleece.
Yole, you know nothing about selling a golden fleece. Patrocles, my friend, I'm going on a long adventure. Will you sell my golden fleece while I am gone?
Glad to, Hercules, glad to.
I'll give you general power of attorney over all of my possessions.
And so, for those who haven't seen
all
this,
of my possessions.
who haven't seen this, it's some 60s Greek god movie that they're overdubbing badly.
It's
right?
an old school Hercules movie, man.
Right. That's had to be from the 60s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can trust me, Hercules.
If not earlier.
See ya.
You think special power of attorney would have been better?
No kidding, you big dummy.
Welcome back, Hercules. I've sold everything you owned and bought myself a chariot.
Yeah.
Patrocles, tell me you didn't.
This general power of attorney allowed me to. A special power of attorney would have only let me sell the golden fleece.
You're all muscle and no brains.
By the gods, I've been fleeced.
Thank you, Hercules.
Powers of attorney. Ask your legal office for guidance.
1958.
As entertaining as that was, that one's a complicated one because I don't know if I'd have taken that away. Right.
But that's valid.
Absolutely.
Right? We've seen that.
But I'm trying to watch it in a 19-year-old's point of view, right?
It's horrible, right? It is. The production value is ridiculous. It's just crappy dubbing over it. It's horrible.
I know. Here's probably number 2.
Don't shake. Oh, here we go.
Some things are meant to be shaken.
Okay, they're shaking a snow globe. They're shaking a rattle. They're shaking a baby bottle.
No matter
And then
how
they
you're
show the
feeling,
baby.
Never shake a baby. Shaking a baby can cause brain injury, disabilities, and even death. Always handle children with kindness and gentle loving care. For more information, contact Family Advocacy.
Who do you think that's targeted to? Obviously, the young 20-year-old parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But who's
Now, to be fair, I'm not shaking babies, but they showed that baby mellow as hell. That baby wasn't 2 a.m. screaming and crying with a fresh diaper on when you got to go to work at 5.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
I'm not saying the baby's the bad guy and deserve to be shaken. I'm just saying
that baby. I'd look at that baby like, who would think to shake that little baby?
that baby asked for it.
But you have those ones that do that colicky cry, that
I can't
extra
imagine
level that kicks up, and it just like, it's up your spine.
And it adds up. Like it just adds up. Right? Like we've all blown up at somebody random that didn't deserve to get blown up on, right?
Easily.
You like back in the day, you gave me an extra shift. It was I had plans and this and that, and then I go in and somebody just a little bit of back talk and emptying out the trash. I'm gonna snap on them. Right? That kind of thing. Like, you SOB, I'm not even on your crew. Just take out the damn trash. Right? Like, and it wasn't their fault at all.
No.
Right? Kind of thing.
No. And if you could if you could take the Airman Basic and shake the shit out of him, you probably would.
There's a reason there's not a "Don't Shake an Airman" commercial, because you can. You can shake an airman. You're welcome to shake him.
Oh my god, that would have been classic. Don't shake your airman. It should be saying, "Don't shake your airman that much."
Only a mild shaking.
All right,
that right there is so Air Force though, because every other branch is like push, stop messing around, push.
Right.
And we're like, just shake him.
Just shake him. He'll be all right.
Just shake him a little bit.
He's rubbery anyway. It's got no fitness.
They're resilient. I'm pretty sure their skulls are soft.
They'll probably get home and look at their Fitbit and go, "Why did you have this increase in heart rate?"
I got bonus points that day.
Oh, my supervisor
Sergeant Smith shook the shit. Exactly, shook the shit out of me.
I had my best physical performance day ever.
I might be onto something.
Now this one, I couldn't find an old one, but this one's a Marine one over in Japan, and this is Safety Gunny, whatever the campaign they were running for reflective belts.
Of course, you need them.
Yeah, reflective belts are important. Okay.
All day, every day.
Oh
no, he left.
Why is this so long? Oh, he's running at night with no reflective belt. There's a Safety Gunny with his reflective belt.
Wait. That Gunny does not have a reflective belt on.
That's true too. That's true.
He's standing in camo in the dark.
In the dark.
Without a reflective belt.
Well, he had it in his hand.
And his hat is pulled so far down, he can only see the first 10 to 20 degrees of his whole sight.
He's a scary ass looking Marine, that's for sure.
He is scary. Yeah, it's a good call.
You are required to wear reflective clothing or a glow belt during the periods of low visibility or nighttime.
Could we infantilize that anymore by calling it a glow belt?
To be fair, I did get an LOC.
Whoa.
Because I wasn't wearing
I remember
at the end of runway.
Oh, I don't remember.
No, it was when I was, I got a lot of, to be fair, Marty, it's a miracle I made it all the way through. And Mom, if you're listening, cover your ears because I got a lot of paperwork while I was in. I was not the model airman.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah.
But at the end of the runway, the aircraft was delayed. I was newer and it was Alaska. So I know I'm making bullshit excuses, but the sun set, like it would shift.
Yeah.
Like 8 to 10 minutes every single day is when the sun was shifting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At least. So you wait a week. You wait a week and you're in total darkness at 4:30 versus you weren't at freaking Monday, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't have my reflective belt and quality, QA came out and they were like, hey man. It's like, oh, got me. Got me.
The thing that I could never figure out, right? And this is where once you're used to doing something, it's almost like the masks now. Once you're used to telling people to put on your reflective belt, and they're like, hey, the Air Force and the Army just came out with PT uniforms that have reflective stuff in them. It's like, put on the reflective belt. It's like, well,
reflective belt.
My whole back reflects the light. Like,
irrelevant.
But exactly, they're just stuck, right? They're stuck.
Your left 1/8 is not reflective.
But you made me buy this uncomfortable ass shirt with a reflective V on the back. And they're like, yep, put on the belt.
Marty, that shirt was 100% polyester. And they made you wear it in the desert.
The most uncomfortable.
It was so unbreathable. It was like a leisure suit with reflective paint on it.
What's the rest of Safety Gunny?
Vehicle drivers cannot properly see you during these conditions. Do you understand that?
Understand, Safety Gunner Sergeant, or glow belt from now on.
So the next time I see you, you better look like a running Christmas tree. You understand me?
Yes, Gunner Sergeant.
You better look like a running Christmas tree.
So this guy's going to go, oh, shit, I don't have my belt. I'm not going to run. And then that gunny's going to come up and go, why aren't you running today?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So we're going to close it out on just something that's so fantastic. And I have never heard of it. There may be some people who have out there, but I haven't. Jake has it, and the Westphalian has it. So there was a couple of guys, they're F-16 jocks, right? They're F-16 fighters, pilots. They called themselves Dos Gringos. Now, Dos Gringos is a band started by Chris, call sign Snooze Couric, and Rob, call sign Trip Raymond, two U.S. Air Force F-16 Fighting Falcon pilots. They released their first album, Live at the Sand Trap, upon their return from Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003. They mixed folk and rock and roll along with funny lyrics dealing with military aviation and military life in general. Their songs have become famous throughout the United States military aviation community. Well, I don't know why that never seeped down to any of us, to be honest with you. I'm surprised. I'm more surprised.
To hear this before
that more people haven't heard it. So we're going to end the podcast on the song called AFN by Dos Gringos. All right. And I'll put that link in the thing as well. You want to say?
I want to give a shout out to Eric. Hopefully the jet fuel candle. I know he's basking in all his tactical bra glory on the beach of some tropical area, but hopefully he brought the jet fuel candle.
The jet fuel candle and the tactical brassiere.
Yeah.
That could make for a magical night.
Yeah.
Good luck, Mrs. Perrott.
Oh,
I don't know how you could resist.
You're in for a good 4 3/4 minutes of vigorous
vigorous product testing.
Product testing. I can't keep it up, Marty. That's the problem.
On behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And as always, make sure to download the next episode for more service headline news.
If you've never been stationed overseas, or you've never been deployed, then you've missed out on the daily dose of life skills from AFN that you just cannot avoid. But you need not worry if you've never been taught right from wrong, 'cause you've got those gringos. Sit back and listen, 'cause Trip and I have put it in a song. Don't shake your baby while you drink and drive. Fill out your will, 'cause one day you won't be alive. And don't shake your baby. Never beat your wife. Be cool, stay in school, and never traffic in human life. Don't shake your baby. Play with the general power of attorney. Not like the hand that you were dealt. Be a good wingman and don't go out at night without the protection of your reflective belt. And that government computer demands attention and respect. So change your password, beware of thumb drives, and make goddamn sure you don't download movies of people having choose to ignore.